Hello and welcome back to Paranormal NL Podcast, located in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. That's PNL Podcast for short. I'm your host and founder, Jen Nosworthy. Thank you for tuning in to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105 FM on that Gulf Coast for tonight's Mexico's Roswell special on UPRN PNL segment number 46. I've got two special guests tonight waiting backstage from Texas and California, USA, who I'll bring on shortly. Let's give some more prayers to everyone in Canada right now dealing with all those wildfires. But let's go grab some favorite cold ones, a few munchies, and get ready for that UFO show tonight. Paranormal NL Podcast is sponsored by the BOG team. It's a boots-on-the-ground BOG team doing historical paranormal investigations in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. And BOG team music heard in the PNL Podcast intro and exit is available for download on all social media music streaming platforms. PNL Podcast believes in supporting international paranormal networking and highlighting global paranormal people, places, and things. Follow PNL Podcast and the BOG team socials and check out their merch on PNL Podcast. Now let's get on with the show. I have on for me all the way from South Texas, I've got Mr. Noe Torres. Welcome, welcome. And I've got Mr. Ruben Uriarte. Is that how I pronounce it correctly?
Very nice. Thank you.
Welcome, y'all. Thank
Hello,
you so much
Jen.
for being on the show tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to reconnect with you. Having been a former resident of South Texas here and having experienced some of our UFO conferences as we've held for the past 14 years. It's really nice to be able to reconnect with you and talk about the old times as well as some of the cases that we've been investigating and writing books about. So thanks again for having my good friend Ruben, my co-author, and myself on your program tonight. We're looking forward to...
Yes, and Noe, you've been on Paranormal NL Podcast before. I joined you, PRN, back when I was just doing radio. You were on season 1, episode 9, way back when, 2023, I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Ruben, welcome for coming on the show with Noe. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Jen. Pleasure being on your show and also connecting with my good friend and colleague Noe, and just a little recap about who I am. I'm an investigator. I do belong with an organization called MUFON. I'm currently the assistant state director for Northern California, and I also am involved in international cases. So I'm the national director for Mexico and for Cuba at this time, and I also do assist in other countries as well. So I've been with MUFON for approximately 35 years, I believe now.
So you've seen a lot, I'm sure.
Oh, I've been I've been very fortunate to network with a number of organizations. Did a number of traveling. I used to belong to a group called Above All Travels. Was a tour group.
Okay.
And we went on tour and took people on UFO tours, and what a great way to meet people. And then I was able to get on a couple of episodes or documentaries, and one was Mexico's Roswell, which that's how Noe and I connected. He saw the program, and he'll probably have a chance to elaborate that a little bit more because he's a great author, and he was working on a book. And he said, "Hey, Ruben, let's collaborate. Let's."
Both of y'all have a lot of books. I mean, I'm just going to throw this up on the screen for the folks who are watching on StreamYard and for the folks who are listening. If you check out RoswellBooks.com, look at all this big list of books. I mean, they've got a lot that they've co-wrote together with different people and, of course, written by themselves. So who wants to dig in first?
Yeah, we Ruben and I got started in all this, as he mentioned, from back in 2006. After Ruben did a History Channel production called Mexico's Roswell. What the History Channel was doing was they were interested in crash retrievals, and they,
Like the skip site, right? Kind of thing.
they specifically wanted to find crash retrieval cases that were similar to Roswell, New Mexico, 1947, the most famous or infamous, however you want to look at it, uh,
Right.
crash retrieval in the world. So they did a series of shows about similar crash retrievals in other countries, one of which was Mexico. And Ruben can lend more insight into this, but they were having trouble finding someone to speak on the incident that happened in Mexico, and actually in a small um, section of Mexico called Coyame, Chihuahua, Mexico. It's actually in the municipality of Coyame, not in the city itself. A lot of people I know, they show up in the tiny little town of about 500 residents.
500. Okay.
There's a little town of Koyame, and basically it's got a couple stop signs and one or two businesses. But and they're looking around. These are tourists or visitors from the U.S. Looking for the crashed UFO or something to do with UFOs. And actually, the case that Ruben and I investigated and have written 3 books about happened about 50 to 60 miles northeast of that tiny little town. It's still within what's termed the municipality. Municipio
Kind of on
is
the
the
border,
Spanish
right?
term.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the municipio, which corresponds roughly to
Municipal.
a
Right.
county in the
Yeah.
United States.
Hmm.
So it happened within this county jurisdiction of Coyame, Chihuahua. And so Ruben and I actually, when we went down there to do field research, um, we were taken by some of the natives, some of the local people from the small town of Koyama, and we drove out there with them way to the site of this crash, of this
Wow. Okay.
incident. And
Hmm.
um, throughout your show this evening, we can talk a little bit more about some of the interesting things that we experienced along the way. It was just a dirt road, and
I love that
parts
the
of
locals took you out there because
yeah,
they're
the
the ones.
locals, yeah,
Yeah.
they came with us, and parts of the road were washed out, and there were
Okay.
gullies, and
They knew
uh,
their
Yeah,
way around. Hey, Ruben.
they knew
it
their way
was an
around. And
adventure.
yeah, but the good thing is we had a nice 4-wheel drive vehicle that was provided by our guide,
Okay.
and so we'll talk more about that as the evening goes on.
Uh, just what it brings me some fond memories as you were talking about Koyame there, Noe. Do you remember when we drove into the town, we saw all these ostriches?
Really?
Yeah, and I thought, how
I didn't know
strange.
Mexico had ostriches.
They had ostriches there,
Strange.
and there it was at that time. I believe there was probably just one or two restaurants. One that which was owned by the mayor's wife, and a gas
Okay.
station. That was back then, and they've grown a little bit now.
They've
But
grown.
I walked in, and then the mayor's wife was showed me a big egg of an ostrich, and I thought, oh, well, that would make some great omelet
I
there.
was going to say, yeah, here's your breakfast. Right?
And then they make boots,
Boots.
big Texas cowboy boots. They make different styles, and one was ostrich. So then it dawned on me,
Right.
oh, that's what
Wow.
they're cultivating them for. But really unusual. I was so surprised. And then as Noe was sharing, we had some more surprises down the road as we were touring that whole area.
I was very thankful, Jen, for that little store, which was also a restaurant. And then you walked through an archway, and it was a general convenience store.
Kind of
I was
like
very,
a little tiny Cracker Barrel, hey?
yeah, and it was the bus stop too
Oh,
for
really?
all the buses that they go from the from the Texas-Mexico border down by Presidio, Texas, and the buses go all the way to Chihuahua City, which is about 60, 70 miles further along this little road, this little highway. And Coyame sits there kind of halfway between the Texas border and Chihuahua City, which is the capital of the state of Chihuahua. But the reason I was especially thankful for that little convenience store is we came back from wandering around in the desert with the History Channel camera people and cast members. We came back terribly sunburned. I mean, our faces were just raw
Oh, you
red.
know it. It don't take long in the desert.
And in that little store, we found cream to put on, aloe vera based cream, and
Right.
it was very comforting, very soothing. So,
Well, here's a tip. If you're out in the desert, you don't have to go to the store to buy it. Just go to the aloe vera plant, crack it off, and stick it on. I've done that before.
yeah, we tried to stay away from plants in the desert, though, because there tend to be
Snakes.
little critters
Yeah.
hiding in them. So we
That's why
went
you
back
got to
to
wear your Texas boots. So, yeah, you found this store and everything, but tell us more about the site and
Well,
more to
Ruben
the
and I
east.
were told by the residents of town there that there was a site where many years prior an airplane had crashed. So, in order to give your listeners a context of this story, I need to back up and explain what the Koyame UFO case is all about. A lot of people may know in general that a UFO and a small plane crashed, um, and the remnants of both craft came down in the desert about 60 miles northeast of this small town that I've been talking about called Cayame, Chihuahua. So the plane was outbound from El Paso International Airport, and it was headed to Mexico City. The pilots, unfortunately, are unknown because all the documents have disappeared over time.
Of course they would, right?
And the documents, that existed at one time very clearly would have provided us that information. So the plane was headed to Mexico City, and we looked at the routes that planes normally take from El Paso to Mexico City, and sure enough, they traversed the skies over Coyame. It's the typical route.
Right.
So that part is also credible. The other thing that I found very credible about the report when we first heard about it was all the locations in northern Mexico and southwest Texas around Big Bend National Park that are mentioned in the report. At that time, when this first came out in the 90s, you would have to be intimately acquainted with these tiny little one traffic light towns in Texas. I mean, nobody would have known these places unless.
Yeah, because Big Bend, that's a huge park in itself. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I felt that there was a high degree of credibility to the report that this Koyame UFO incident had happened. So anyway, getting back to the story, the plane and supposedly the UFO came flashing around a mountain peak going at about 2,500 miles per hour when it slammed basically head on with the plane and essentially obliterated it. There were tiny little fragments that fell to the desert below. The UFO itself sustained a big gash and a dent, and the UFO fell to the desert below. There was an Army unit that was dispatched because the aircraft had been tracked by the Mexicans. There's an Air Force base in Chihuahua City, and then there's an Army base in Ojinaga, which is on the border with Texas.
That was going to be my next question. Where were the closest?
So reportedly, the Army out of Ojinaga sent out a detachment of soldiers, not prepared at all for what they may encounter. They were told that there had been a crash of a small plane. That's all they were told. So they went out there to the scene, and they found, to their amazement, there was not just one crashed craft, there were two. The other one was nearby, and it was of most interest to them because the small plane had been essentially obliterated, but the other object was nearly intact, and it was saucer-shaped. And yes, it had sustained some damage, but it was almost completely pristine. So the soldiers walked all around. They brought a whole bunch of vehicles, and they brought a flatbed truck, which they intended to put the fragments of the aircraft on to take it back to Ojinaga, or we're not sure if they were going to take it on to Chihuahua, to the Air Force Base, Mexican Air Force Base. But anyway, their task was to gather up the airplane fragments and take them back to base. But at some point, they began feeling ill in the desert. Unbeknownst to them, the U.S. had its spy assets, including satellites and overflying jet aircraft that were looking over the crash scene. They had apparently intercepted messages that were taking place among the Mexican parties involved, and they also knew they had been tracking this strange craft as it came out of the Gulf of Mexico and across the length of Mexico until it crashed with the plane.
I'm guessing radiation instead of sunburn at this point.
So the soldiers began feeling ill, and the entire detachment of Mexican soldiers, we estimate 32, all died instantly, rather quickly. Their bodies were scattered around their vehicles in the desert, as evidenced by the keyhole satellite photographs that were later analyzed back in the States. So
32, that's a lot.
So the first attempt to recover this crashed object was an utter failure. The second attempt was a team of military men from Fort Bliss in El Paso flew down there after they saw, what had happened in the desert. They saw the bodies hanging out of the doors of Jeeps and men lying in the desert. So they sent a team by helicopter out to the scene. These were, we believe, CIA operatives who were in conjunction with the military at Fort Bliss, which is one of the largest military bases in the United States, by the way. It is now being considered for a site to hold immigrant detainees, up to 5,000, which will be deported out of the country. But anyway, the back then, so these helicopters came over, 5 helicopters came over. It's very close, really, from El Paso to where this incident happened, extremely close. In aviation terms, it would have taken them just minutes to get there.
Right.
So they arrived at the scene in biohazard gear, fully equipped. Something that would have obviously benefited the Mexican military, but the U.S. soldiers came in, they assessed the situation, they received orders, and they as part of their contingent, they had one of these huge Huey cargo helicopters. It had the riggings to transport heavy objects.
No, this was back in 1974.
1974, August 25th.
And when was the Roswell incident again? Was it 74?
1947.
47 and 74. Yeah. Wow. And it's
Yeah.
odd that they show up with the biohazard suits, like they almost knew, oh, okay, we need this.
Yeah.
Well, they had been monitoring the whole situation, as I mentioned. They saw the dead Mexican soldiers on the satellite photos.
Okay.
They had also overflown the area in jet aircraft. And so they knew that there was a risk here. And I think that plays into the fact that one of the rumored destinations for the debris, once the U.S. military attached it and brought it back, it was rumored that they took it to the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, which is obviously was the world's most secure laboratory facility for trying to figure out what was the cause of the deaths of the Mexican soldiers.
Right. What microbe did this? What happened? Yeah.
Whether it was a microbe or some other agency that caused their deaths. So it makes sense, according to the report that started all of this investigation, that it was probably taken to the CDC first and then on to probably Wright-Patterson Air Base after that to be added to the collection.
Yes,
So,
the collection.
yeah. So anyway, so that was a story behind Mexico's Roswell, and Ruben can talk about the wonderful experience we had when we went down there. We tried to retrace what happened. We went out and we found the wreckage of a plane in the desert, and it was an amazing time that we had down there.
Yeah,
Did you want to talk about that, Ruben? Yeah.
Yes, it was really a fascinating experience because neither did Noe or I or anyone in our group aside from the locals had ever seen a plane crash in a desert. And we started to we were told that the plane may have come from a crash from a drug dealer, that his plane had crashed there. And one thing that we try to do is collect evidence. And in other words, the debris was there, and the metal, the aluminum had melted. There was just big gobs of it just there, and
were you able to touch any of it, or did you?
Yeah, we did. We did. Maybe that was not a smart thing to do, but
did you have any weird sensation when you did it? Like either one of you, whether it be, not physical, but also like any weird mental stuff on the go?
Yeah. What was interesting was all of a sudden one of the locals that came with us went up to the fuselage of part of the plane and started stripping off all the metal, recycling the aluminum. And I thought, oh my God, there goes.
No, he had a bucket, Ruben.
Couldn't find anything.
He had a bucket, and he started putting all the parts into the bucket, and we were like alarmed because this is a UFO investigation scene. We don't want this stuff tampered with.
Right? Yeah.
It was alarming.
Yeah, these are little things that really make an investigation unique. All the little stories and how people react that really open our eyes, because as Noe had mentioned, the municipality, there's these little small ranches, little settlements spread out throughout that area. They're all connected by these dirt roads, and so we went with our guide and
with the locals,
start talking to them. And that one gentleman, Noe, the gentleman that kept a notebook and of all.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. We were in his. He invited us into his little humble ranch home, way out in the desert. I'm going to estimate 40 miles away from town, and there's nothing out there. I mean, he's got hills and mountains all around his little ranch, and I mean, that he would trust us. There's a lot of, by the way, since we were there, the cartels moved into that whole area, and it's generally very unsafe.
Dangerous, right? Yeah.
Because it's all of this area that we're talking about is right along the Rio Grande River, and it's if they control the points right along the river, they can bring the bad stuff over into the United States. But anyway, he trusted us. He took us into his home, and he said, "I'm going to show you something." He had already told us he had had a number of UFO sightings. Well, he brought this huge book with blank pages that you can write in. It's like size of a photo album, like you would have.
Okay, like a sketchbook kind of thing.
Like a sketchbook. Right. And he had sketched on there all of these UFO sightings that he had seen. He's got a mountain range nearby, and I remember distinctly he had this saucer-shaped object, and he indicated that it was moving across from one side of the mountain range to another by putting little lines like propulsion.
Right.
And he had a whole bunch of stuff in that book.
A lot of different sightings. Over how many years did it span?
He had lived there a long time. I would estimate he was in his 70s, and he had been there a really long time. So
so a lot of different sightings. Interesting.
Yeah. We interviewed.
I love somebody's got a rooster in the background.
Yeah,
I love that.
Welcome to California.
I thought that was you, Jen.
No, actually, we do have one down the road. You can hear him usually on Sundays. He's really loud.
Yeah, it's so you might hear him. In fact, there's another couple of other roosters around this area, so I hope it doesn't.
No, I love it. He said that he saw one too. I saw one too.
I wanted to pop in real quick into Ruben's narrative just to quickly say that Ruben said something that's very important here just a while ago. He said that the wreckage we found had evidence of extreme heat to where the skin of the hull of the plane had bubbled up into globs of aluminum and titanium. We just saw
of the Earth plane or the other one.
The other one was taken away, and
so it was
all traces of its appearance.
So it could have been the radiation that made it bubble up and do this.
But we figured that in the skin of the plane being completely melted, that there could be trace fragments in there from the object that had crashed into it. There might have been some parts that got transferred. I know the History Channel made a big to-do in the segment that they did on this, on the transfer of material when a crash happens. And they reported, because they sent that material that we found in the desert in for analysis, and they reported that there were some metals of unknown composition in that glob of melted metal we found in the desert. So I know the local people had this story that the plane crash might have been a drug dealer, but it also might have been this crash from 1974. The time period because we found identifying information on what type of plane it was and so forth, and it fit the time period.
It did. Okay, the parts that you found?
Yeah. There were parts that had serial numbers and stuff, and we had it analyzed, and it corresponded with the 70s. It would have been flying in the 70s.
Because it would have been very difficult to capture or pick up every single little piece. I'm sure they had a timeline. They had to get in, they had to get out, and try to pick up as much as they could. Sure, just to say that there wasn't some leftovers there.
I still have some pieces of it here, and that I brought.
Did you ever get it analyzed or send it anywhere?
Well, we checked it over with for radiation and for electromagnetic, and it seems to be neutral. It seems to be clear. But we have never sent ours for analysis like the History Channel did. But they supposedly found that there were unknown mystery metals combined in with the skin of the plane, the melted.
Interesting, right?
It was extremely interesting. But
mystery metals.
Now It's possible that there was more than one plane crash out in the desert because over time there have been a number of small planes that crashed, and we might have just by chance found the right one. It was quite interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't say any of the other small ones would have had other mystery metals mixed in with it.
And the fact that it had been subjected to extreme heat,
Right.
which I don't know that you would normally get that in a typical plane crash.
No.
Also, there were no pieces of the plane larger than.
Well, even if there were some fuel on board and she was running full when she got hit or went down, it still wouldn't have caused a
No,
different morphosis of the metal to that extent.
and it was a small plane like a Cessna, so it wasn't. I mean, it didn't carry a lot of fuel.
Right.
Yeah,
So, what do you think, Ruben?
Well, that was one of the mysteries that we had uncovered, thanks to the locals sharing the story with us. And then, of course, when we interviewed the local townspeople, we also interviewed some of the ranchers, and one gentleman was in charge of their ranch organization, or the Cattlemen's Association, basically. And he said that he and his son or grandson, when they go out and check in on the cattle, and as it was getting toward the evening, they would see all these strange lights up in the sky, just basically stationary, and then all of a sudden they'd start making these strange maneuvers. And to us, it was typical. That was just one of the typical stories. We even
so the animals reacted to it in the area. I was going to ask about that when we mentioned the rooster. I was going to ask about other animals. Like, did they react to anything that the locals had said besides the cows or birds?
What's interesting, Noe and I just had this discussion today. We talked to several witnesses, and we'll definitely get into one really important witness that shared his story. But Noe had gotten in contact with a gentleman who's owns property out there in the Koyami area, and he runs a hunting business, where you can hunt for deer.
Right.
And he had mentioned that one of the unusual things that he discovered going out there at his ranch were that he found that the mineral blocks, with the solid blocks for cattle,
the salt
and
licks,
for horses, and at the salt licks, perfect. The salt licks were changed. They were down very low, and he said, "What causes that?"
They melted?
And it could have been, and I wish I would have loved it if we had a picture of one, but he mentioned that. And then another gentleman, who was one of our main witnesses, said that he noticed that the salt lick blocks had also dissipated quite rapidly.
Oh.
And there was another gentleman. So we had three stories of people discovering that the salt blocks, which are given to as part of for whatever dietary purposes for the cattle or horses, for livestock,
for the cattle,
that this was common. So I haven't heard anything like that here in cases here in the United States as of yet.
No, I could have to ask my dad about that, because he used to supply feed and the salt licks and stuff like that to the farmers. So I think I asked him about that. What would cause one of those things to melt?
Yeah, if you please let us know if you've.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we got an inquiry. There's a lot of cattle mutilation cases going down that are happening down in Argentina.
Oh, that's not good.
And so I shared that information with one of our contacts, and she has, of course, a number of contacts with the Argentinian investigators. So
is Linda involved with that? Moulton? Yeah.
Oh, she was. probably still is as an yeah, that's one of the main experts in here in the United States.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I think somebody wants to add a picture to the stage.
Oh, look at that.
The famous ostrich egg.
The ostrich egg, yeah.
Where'd you find out? That's a great photo.
I was looking at our photos that we took down in Koyame.
Who would have thought they had ostrich just down there? Hey, I guess they must really like their ostrich boots. I know that there's a lot of them for sale and down in Mexico. I got some crocodile ones when I was down there.
Oh, the boots, yes.
Yeah. But since we're on a different topic, what do y'all think about what's going on right now? Everybody's all freaking out saying, oh, there's this weird thing coming towards Earth. Tell me your thoughts on that. You're an expert from MUFON. Both of y'all did some investigations. What do you think is all this hoopla about?
Oh, well, I read Avi Loeb's book on extraterrestrials, and in the object that appeared, I believe it was in 2017, Oumuamua. Remember that strange object that came into our solar system, and it didn't react as your typical asteroid.
That's right.
It came in, and then
it turned or something?
Turned around, and it just rapidly exited out of our solar system. And
they're very smart beings to do.
Yeah.
Quick, folks, turn around.
But I haven't followed too much other than the speculation that there's something that's very odd, very big, several miles in width.
Could it have been a drone that they sent? Their version of one?
Yeah, well, it's going to be one heck of a drone. I think obviously it's going to attract a lot more attention, and hopefully we'll be able to get a lot of additional information on what this thing might be, if it's a natural. But it looks like the speculation is that keep your eyes on it, because it's not behaving in a typical fashion of an asteroid.
Yeah, they said it's doing some weird stuff. It's I think it's speeding up or something.
Yes. Yeah. How about you, Noe? Maybe.
What are your thoughts, Noe?
That's funny. We had a meeting today, on the day we're doing this show, of the planning committee for the next Edinburgh UFO conference.
Okay.
And we talked about trying to set up a video conference with Dr. Loeb to discuss the object that is headed our way. He's got some really interesting ideas, as Ruben mentioned, suggesting that it could perhaps be of alien origin. And I know it's been discussed a lot in the media and in the social media. So it's hard to say since it's so far out at this point.
Right.
Some people are claiming it's a comet. Interestingly, I just sent a picture. I don't know if you're able to bring it up on the screen,
sure,
of Ruben. Yeah. There he is, and you can see the sign warning people of the danger of airplanes encountering UFOs. There's a warning sign behind Ruben.
And that's in the area where you guys went out to do your investigation?
Yeah, they're in Presidio.
We had, for 3 years, we had a conference, a UFO conference right at the doorstep of where this happened in Presidio, Texas, which is on the other side of the river from where the Koyama crash happened.
Okay.
And we had a great time. And this was a celebration that we had one evening after the conference, and they had rock and roll bands playing, and it was just a great time.
Sounded like a lot of fun. Do you want to give a little plug about the Edinburgh UFO Festival? that you usually do every year in Edinburgh,
Yeah,
Texas?
every year, in during the first weekend in April, except for this year, we have this is our
Maybe one of y'all can pull up the Facebook site because I am in jail and I can't
yeah
pull it up. But yeah, because
during
on your website, if you want to go to it, then just go to roswellbooks.com, scroll down over here, and you can see all the links.
yeah I believe there's a link there for the Edinburgh UFO conference. But
Mhm.
anyway, this is our 14th year. And back when it was we were just starting it, people would always come up to me and say, this is not going to last. People down here, they want to listen to mariachis. They want to party and have
We could
pachanga.
combine mariachis with UFOs, right?
Yeah, nobody's going to want to go to this. Is too highbrow. This is too. It takes too much complicated thinking. Well, they were totally wrong because we've packed the house for
You did.
13 years now.
Yep.
People love it. There's a festival atmosphere the night before, and then there's
There's concerts too, I remember.
concerts,
Yeah.
and then there's the
Mhm.
speakers who get down to business. We have speakers of national and international acclaim. We've had all the top UFO speakers down here. Uh,
You have, yeah,
but
everybody
anyway,
from Ancient Aliens. And yeah, I mean, if check out the conference. If you haven't been, you got to go check it out. You're going to
yeah,
love
this
it.
year we're having it in November, by the way, Jen. I don't know if you were
Okay.
aware. We got
Okay.
last year we got bumped because of a special Vietnam memorial display that the city had invested a lot of time and effort into, memorial
Okay.
for the
Yeah.
troops that were killed. And
Right.
so we got bumped. Uh, and then this year we got bumped again because we ran into scheduling problems with the Discovery Channel, who are bringing down their a big part of their Ancient Aliens crew
Okay.
for this one. So
Nice. That's going to be
we're going to
fun.
have the Ancient Aliens, which
Well,
Ruben and I would be very much feeling at home there, both of us being ancient aliens ourselves. But anyway, no, so it's in November this year only. I have a feeling that I'm pretty sure
that's
it's
going
going
to
to
be a
revert
good
back
one.
to the first.
Now I've
It's
got
going to
two
revert
reasons
back
to
to the
go to
first weekend
Texas.
in April.
Yes.
Yeah. And Texas is beckoning me back. No, we didn't
Yeah, so
talk about
definitely
Far
people
from
should
the
check.
Sky.
Yeah,
Yeah. Everybody
I'm
definitely got
sorry.
to
Go
go
ahead.
and check out the Edinburgh UFO conference, and you're going to see
Yeah,
a lot of people there from Ancient Aliens.
something
But
new that we're something new that we're going to try this year, Jen, is there was a famous. It's been widely reported, and the word's gotten out. There's a famous UFO case that happened in 1966 in Edinburgh, Texas, and I put together a book called Fire from the Sky, which I think there's the cover of it is in your
yep, you can
little
see it up here.
header that you did for the show.
Mhm.
And a group of construction workers were terrorized and attacked by this strange object that appeared suddenly over their construction site.
I didn't realize it
And
happened in Edinburgh, of
what?
all places. I used to live in
Yeah,
Edinburgh.
it
I
happened
didn't
in
even
Edinburgh.
know this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we've gone multiple times. We've gone out to the ranch where this happened. The current owner, has been very, very kind, and she has allowed us onto her property. And we've taken tours out to the location where this incident happened. Well, they've asked me, and I'm going to get Ruben to help as well. They've asked me to put together a little stage play
Oh.
of everything that happened that night, and it's going to be performed by a local group of performers, stage play actors from here in the valley, in the Rio Grande Valley, and
Interesting.
they're going to and so we're working rather quickly to try to put together a retelling of what happened that night and all the strange aspects of this story. We have a living witness who is the son of the sheriff's deputy who first went out to the scene and encountered all the devastation and talked to the eyewitnesses.
Wow.
And so we're planning to have him introduce this play, and it should be fantastic. I think people will really enjoy it.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, something new that we're doing.
So, out of all your years, the both of y'all that have been, looking into UFOs and things like that, what do you say to the folks listening? What's your take home? What's your take home on everything that you've learned? Anything messages that you want to put out there?
I would say that the phenomena is very much real, and we are slowly uncovering what's part of a puzzle, with all getting the pieces together, and we're seeing these cases now in mainstream media. Before, you didn't get that much attention. Now it's on CNN and it's on Fox Network. It's on all these shows that are out there, and we have a number of whistleblowers that are coming out and sharing their experiences of what they know, and a lot of them are former military, a lot of high credibility type people.
Seems like a lot of disclosure lately, a lot more people interested in them,
So
a lot less maybe stigmatism, you think?
exactly, yeah, because before getting people to discuss UFOs, there was always that stigma behind that, and gradually that has been changing. And so that's what I feel. I think we're going to start learning more about these unusual happenings, and that the fact that Noe and I and our other colleagues have been focusing on the historical connections and where we're at today. So.
Right. Yeah. There are, a lot of historical things. I'm sure, this is just a tip of the iceberg to some of these books that we've talked about, but there's so many other different topics.
We have a slogan that we've been using sometimes. UFOs have no borders.
Yes.
It's the same phenomena that's appearing in Canada, in the United States, Mexico, Latin America, Texas as well.
Yes, all over the place. I'm sure you've seen a lot of different or investigated a lot of different things yourself. Is there one investigation that sticks out in your mind the most from all the ones that you've done?
Was it relating to my experience?
Right. Looks like Noe is frozen.
God, yeah. I want to make sure I give Noe some extra time there, but
I'm not sure what happened to my camera. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're just frozen. That's all. That's okay.
Okay. All right. Better to be frozen and still be here.
So you were saying, Ruben, one of the ones that stick out in your mind?
I had my own personal sighting. I had a major sighting when I went to England in 1994.
Okay.
To a crop circle expedition.
Oh.
And I saw these amazing balls of light coming up, and then we discovered this enormous, beautiful crop circle the next day in that general area, and it was amazing. So yeah, I've had some really interesting experiences in my travels and that, but
have you had any of your own encounters besides that crop circle?
What really got me interested in this whole subject matter was I had my first sighting when I was a kid.
Okay.
I saw this oval shaped object there, and that seemed to pique my interest over the years. I was interested in science and science fiction and all that, but I never dreamed I would be connecting with UFOs. And Noe, I believe you had your experience when you were a child, right?
I think.
Yeah, I had a story that happened to my mom.
Your mom?
Yeah, and she had an encounter in the 1940s.
Oh.
And so I grew up hearing her tell this story. And
We got 10 minutes left. So
yeah, it caused me to want to know more. So I used to run to the library and get as much information as I could about UFOs, and that's how I became interested in the topic. Yeah.
is that how you became also interested in the library?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very
Okay.
good observation there.
Okay, that all makes sense. Yeah, because where else would you get all the information, right?
The library was the place. Absolutely.
Yep, I still love the library. We've got a big library here in Newfoundland and Labrador. But have you seen any other things like lately? I know when everybody was talking about, oh, the drone this and drone that. But to me, it seemed like it was all way too close to New Year's Eve with all these New Year's Eve shows. And then ever since then, they all kind of dropped off the radar. And not many people are talking about them.
In regards to the drones, what was interesting was that they were appearing over military installations, and the fact they had to close down some of the military.
They had to close them down.
To avoid any potential collision there on the air at the air base there, especially, and then also the explanation was that these were ours. Well, they under further investigation, and they found out why would the FAA be quiet about this? If it was one of ours, why didn't they say something? Why didn't they say something prior? And why would they allow these military bases to be closed down unless they're experimenting something very strange, obviously. So there's a lot going on. I would just say we just have to use some discernment because we're dealing with years.
I know a lot of people get confused, Ruben,
Yeah.
with I think what's going on, over in Boca Chica and other different bases with Elon, and even on the MUFON site, it says, okay, this is a fuel dump. That's not ET. This is Starlink. That's not ET. So I think a lot of people are getting confused with some of that stuff.
Well, there's a lot of unusual stuff out there, but clearly it's ours, and that's one of the things about investigating is we get just tons of pictures from people all over the world with their cell phones taking pictures of strange objects. And
is there anything that you want to say to people
makes it very challenging
on reporting and how to report and when they can report? I mean, even if you reported or saw something years ago, you can still report it, right? Like we had an incident here at the Bell Island boom. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one.
Yeah, we get a number of reports, but if someone has a sighting and wants to share it, they can go to MUFON.com, and there's a section there that says file a report, and all the detail that can be provided really helps us, and then an investigator will be assigned to that case and contact the witness and try to get as much information as possible to determine what is it. And what we look at our data, because we can compare what's being reported and what's out there, and we can merge it together, and that gives us another clue of this phenomena.
So Ruben, if somebody is suspecting that they are in the middle of seeing something out of this world, are there certain things they should take note of besides like where it happened, what time of the day, or is all that in the report when you go to MUFON? It prompts you for that.
It prompts you, yes. It asks for that detail, as well as if the person's able to take a camera, what type of camera, are there any other additional people that were there that we can also communicate with. So the more detail that can be provided, the better. And we do. We have some very good observers out there that people do able to document on our case report.
Nice. Are there any case reports that stick out in your mind that you've seen, or? without divulging names or things like that?
Yeah, well, I've been like I mentioned before, I've been involved with Cuba and Mexico, and I was talking to Noe about this that the cases of sightings are occurring along major resorts. People that are on these cruise ships, they're seeing some strange object coming in and out of the ocean, and
USOs.
yeah,
Okay.
and then also people
Could
that
that
are.
be military though?
It could be in some cases, but we don't really know what they are. Well, that's why we use the term unknown. Yeah,
Okay.
unknown other, or maybe it might have an actual shape to it. It might be a disc, could be a triangle, could be a
It
circular.
could be bioluminescence from the ocean from creatures too.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of interesting uh, things that are being seen in and out of the oceans by some very credible people as well. You know, the locals there.
Jen, real quick, I know we're running out of time, but John LeMay and I recently wrote a book about UFO cases in the in the teens, and we included sightings by the Titanic survivors of
Oh,
strange objects as they sat there in the rafts, seeing the big ship go down. And I know that shipwreck happened there near where you are. So
yes, the Titanic.
Wow.
Wow.
early 20th century UFO cases is what our book was about. And we've gotten a lot of very positive response
What
on
was the
that.
name of that book again?
We've written so many.
There's one here, UFOs of the 30s, 20s.
Let's see, what was the date of the Titanic incident? Was it
Oh
19?
gosh, now you're asking me something.
Yeah, because
There's
we
a
put
book
everything in chronologically, but the book cover shows the Titanic sinking on it, and
Okay.
it's and the book's the main topic is early 20th century UFO cases.
Okay, I found it. I'll pull it up on the screen. Boom, there it is.
Yeah, outstanding. So that was very good. 1900 to 1919.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it?
yeah. And everybody listening, make sure you check out roswellbooks.com. Check out all of Ruben and Noe's books and code books together. There's a lot of them. Make sure you check out the UFO conference. Do you want to give some shout outs to where people can find you and your fans?
The main site is this one here, roswellbooks.com, and we try to link from here everywhere else. One thing I do want to say about our books is there's a lot of stuff out there that's kind of very, very sketchy, and a lot of the books now are being written by AI instead of real people, but Ruben and I never do stuff like that. Our objective is to get famous historical UFO cases out in the public eye, and we're legitimate researchers. We're not in it to make money. And so what you'll find in our books is actual documented information of UFO cases that we have investigated in depth, such as the Koyama case that we talked about today.
Boots on the ground research.
Yep.
Ruben, do you want to give a shout out to your fans or anybody listening about MUFON or anything that you'd like to talk about?
Absolutely. Well, go to MUFON.com and also our website, as Noe had indicated, roswellbooks.com, and you'll see all the historical research that's been done primarily with him, with Noe and Mr. John LeMay. They've done an outstanding job of documenting a lot of these historical cases. So by all means, I'm very, very, very grateful to having had the opportunity to work with these gentlemen.
Well, I'm grateful to have you both on the show tonight. And, everybody, make sure you follow Noe and Ruben. You're going to love them both. Make sure you go to the Edinburgh UFO Festival this year in November, right, Noe?
Yep. EdinburghUFO.com, by the way.
Yeah, in Texas.
EdinburghUFO.com.
Yeah, everybody check it out. So thanks again for being on the show. We really enjoyed having you on here. And you're listening in to 107.7 FM in New Orleans, UPRN in New Orleans, and also on that Gulf Coast and 105.3 UPRN. And make sure you follow Paranormal NL Podcast and the Bog Team on their Linktree Paranormal NL Podcast. We're going to leave you with a little bit of Bog Team music now. And y'all have a great night.
Chasing shadows where the whispers start. Ghostly figures in the midnight hour.